All right. We are back. We are back for another day of work. So, got a lot to do today. Got my second monitor set up so I can properly share the screen with you guys. So, just give me a second. Yeah, so today is quite a busy day. I've been chipping away at Open Enterprise. So if you're new here, welcome to the stream. My name is Designer Malcolm, and I live stream the process of building an application from start to scaling, right? So we're going to try and build this into a viable business, where we are building this into a viable business. Have a couple projects that I'm working on, but the main one that we will focus on today is Open Enterprise. And I'll go ahead and get that set up. But a couple of things I want to kind of highlight here is we do things a little different. I sprinkle in a little bit of design. That way you can understand how I'm thinking when I'm working with these models. A lot of people out there just say, hey, design me something cool. And that only gets you so far. So I'm a little slow with my approach, pretty methodical. Um, Sometimes these streams will have me working in cursor. Sometimes it'll have me combining um, like design stuff, marketing, because the ultimate goal is to not just build privately, right? We want to build something that people actually use. So let's go ahead and get that going. I want to say thank you for the people who tune in. Go ahead and just drop a W in the chat if you're vibing with me. If you want to um, drop a chat, share what you're building. If you're building anything, we definitely want to know about it. And help each other out here. So let me pull this up. So yesterday we did find a few bugs in Open Enterprise, and we're kind of working through those. Wow, so it's completely down. So let me share with you guys what I'm seeing here. So we need to fix this. This is a huge issue that we're having. So right now, my Open Enterprise platform is down. It is down. And it has a lot to do with I came across some Cloudflare issues, so I can go ahead and pull that up. I was trying to debate whether or not Cloudflare was a necessity right now, and it ended up causing a lot more problems than I need at this point in time with my application. Now, Cloudflare is definitely a great tool, so it's nothing against Cloudflare, but I definitely think I probably didn't implement it correctly. And the reality of it is the state of this application where it's at. I don't think we need it. So just to give you guys some tech insight on how I'm building my application. So I have Versal as the front end. So it hosts the web, and it lives there. And then the back end, I use Render. And so part of that was just me having a precautionary approach to bot attacks. So I decided to implement. Oh, it looks like it's up. Nice. Oh, okay. It's working. So in order to prevent bot attacks or DDoS attacks, I wanted to set up a Cloudflare. And Cloudflare does a lot of shit, to be honest. So, and I'm sure it's great, but I don't have time to learn all of that right now, just because we're trying to get a decent MVP working and get something functioning. So that was the big thing. It was so Cloudflare was eating up, and I'll show you my cursor screen. It was eating up the route, the API route. So I have it when you set up Cloudflare, there's some proxies you can set up a proxy essentially, meaning that the traffic runs through Cloudflare first before hitting your actual website. And I think that's just to help mitigate bots, hackers, or whatever. So it's just an extra step of precaution. But it was causing issues with some of the API requests. And damn, this is my website is cooked. So it's causing some issues with the API requests. And so I had to disable that for now until we look into it further. But let's go ahead and see how we're looking with this. So the issue I was having when I would come in here and I'd go to mission control. Yeah, so we're getting stuck here on this screen, taking you to mission control. And that's still an issue. And I launched an agent to work on this. And it has been just working on this for a couple hours now. And so we need to make sure that whatever is happening, that it's not over engineering. We are using the GPT 5.4 model. So let's see. Not quite sure I want to share this because we don't want to expose. Keep waiting. Any variables. All right. So as we debug this, additionally, I did come up with some other bugs that we identified last night. So let me pull this up. Let's pull this up. So a few bugs we have are gross revenue card is not accurately reflecting Stripe data. So that's a problem we need to address. We have our Web3 integration. So currently inside of here, and if I can't get to it. Let's see. Hold on. Let's see if I click log in. And no. Anyway, Web3 integration. We are trying to set up Web3 integration for our application where a user can log in OAuth with MetaMask or Brave wallet. The thought behind this is eventually what we want is entrepreneurs and companies who want to build their infrastructure on open enterprise and they want to build like a Web3 business, that they can do so, right? And that's important. I think it's important to delineate what we are versus what a lot of people out there are building. So we're not building a developer tool. We're not building a tool for developers. We're building an agentic system for entrepreneurs and for businesses. So I like to define this as like the operating system for agentic businesses. So this isn't a tool that you could spin up and launch Claude Code and start coding or create different workspaces. And our approach is different. So we're approaching it from the organizational level. So you would spin up an agent and that agent would then set up the environment and start to build out the application in a way. But, with organizations and with companies, it's more than just the development and the code, right? You have marketing in there, you have maybe research, you have operations. So our platform is focused on that. How do we build agentic organizations where development is just a small part of it, but what about the full circle, right? Strategy, media buying, ads, sales. So we're different in that way, where we are focused on agentic organizations, and we are focused on developing out frameworks to help agentic organizations work better, and we're trying to improve on that front of AI. So, as you know, there's probably a lot of people out there, a lot of companies who are kind of doing things similar to us. But what we've noticed in the landscape is that their primary focus is on creating single use agents, which is fine, right? A marketing agent that just does marketing, a sales agent that just does sales, a coding agent or a coding development platform that just does that. That's interesting. But what's even more interesting for us and the thesis that we're working on at Open Enterprise is how do we get all of them to communicate to drive towards a certain goal, whether it be revenue, some sort of growth target. So that's what Open Enterprise is. We're built for entrepreneurs and small business owners and even enterprise companies who want to build an agentic business. So back to the bugs. So we have a Web3 integration issue that we have to fix. Right now, we're working through this Cloudflare issue. We have our Kanban issue. So in our Kanban lanes, we've identified that the cards inside of the Kanban lanes are squished. Hold on. So it's like, how do we fix that? So we need to fix that. What else we got? The next thing we have here is so the next big thing we need to address, or the next item we have, is the the run feature seems to take run features seem to take priority over jobs automatically being ran. So there's a run feature within the Kanban. So let me make a note of that. Kanban cards. So the Kanban cards, they have a run feature, which I believe has it allows you to manually, as the user, you can run a job, right, a task, and have the agent do that. That's fine and all, but we want to make sure that all of our agents that are deployed inside of Open Enterprise have access, read and write access to all the tools. So that way, if you tell your CEO to go ahead and, clear out the backlog, it can do so. So we have that. We have, these are features, but one feature is we want to allow for multiple Kanban boards. So perhaps you're using it as like a sales, you're creating a sales Open Enterprise. So you will probably need multiple Kanban boards because I don't know if you guys have ever worked with sales, but that's typically how you track your leads in the pipeline. So that's a feature. And then some UI touches. The horizontal scroll bar does not follow our design system. New industries. So yeah, we added those. Those look like those are already added. And dictation isn't working that well, so we want to fix that. Message chat performance speed, we want to fix that. Custom dashboards need to be mobile responsive. So those are it's quite the list. But the big issue right now we're trying to get resolved here is the proxy, the proxy that we have set up with Cloudflare currently is blocking us from accessing our tools, or accessing the application. So I'm going to pull up Cursor and see what the deal is with that. See if you guys can share my screen here. Let me put on some tunes. Some tunes for your head bop. So I'm not sure what the deal is, but cursor, this agent is running really slow. So I'll cover. Names. Yeah. So also we need to be thinking about marketing here and how do we market this? Who do we want to market to? And I have a couple ideas because, as we all know, entrepreneurs, that's a huge market. So I'm going to be experimenting with some methods here, and I'll probably show those on live stream. But one one approach I think will be really um, beneficial is I'm going to go the TikTok route. So I have a concept here for TikTok, and we're going to market on TikTok. But I'm very aware of the quality of TikTok leads, and so the people we're marketing to on TikTok, I'm going to go for women who are small business owners, girl bosses, and just aren't really familiar with the technology. So a lot of it's going to be framed around that. I think that'll be a good TikTok strategy. I want to get pretty dialed in with who the ICP is. If you know what ICP means, it's ideal customer profile. This way, we can really target our marketing into, we can position it. And I'm thinking women who are in, they have either a fashion brand or a fitness brand, or maybe they're influencers, or maybe they are some kind of consultant or something. I think those will be a good test subject or a good ICP to target at first. Now, keep in mind, we're for everybody. But I think I feel like my hypothesis is like tool loyalty, meaning once it's integrated in their business, is relatively high within that demographic that we're targeting. And so I think if I can make a really good product that's um, that solves their needs, you know, that'll be good. And another strategic approach here is typically um, a lot of those businesses are going to want to really focus on like social media automation, and our agents can help them if they get it set up right, can help them do that. So I just gotta make sure this model does not expose anything, because I guess it does that. So this is day 8. We are in day 8 of this journey of vibe coding. Now, granted, we probably don't have as many days as some of the other people kind of doing this type of stream, but who cares? Like, we're on our own journey, we're on our own path. As long as we show up when we do, I think everything's good. So let me I'm trying to pull up my cursor so you can see what it's been working on. But first, so all right, how do I share this? And if you guys are building along, let us know in the chat what you're building. If you're working on something or building, we definitely want to hear about it. I definitely want to hear about it myself for sure. Stop screen. That's, got a better setup today. Was struggling the other day. I was using one screen, so it's kind of good to have two screens. Okay. Let's put on some AI music. At least we know AI music is safe. Go a little chill vibe. Have that going. I don't know if you guys know about these AI channels that produce this music. It's really good. Why? Feels like the model is really slow today. Hmm. This is where we're living at right now. And I'm having some bad performances. Yeah. All right. Someone shut that down. See what's going on with cursor. In the meantime, if you haven't already, go check out agency. Go check out Agentic Founder. This is my research journal where I'm exploring the ideas and the implementation of building agentic organizations. That's our focus here with Open Enterprise. So if that interests you, this is free. We're probably gonna turn it into a newsletter, which will be free. But it just adds an extra layer to agents and to what we kind of already are experiencing today. So I take it a step further, and I'm exploring this idea of agentic organizations. And what is an agentic organization? Well, an agentic organization, how we define it over here, is a fully autonomous organization where agents work together from all different verticals. So not just sales working in a silo, reporting back to you, the human, or coding, just coding, reporting back to you, the human. But like, how do those agents interact with each other to drive towards a certain goal, whether that be a profit, uh, a profit goal, or a certain marketing metric, or certain KPIs. So we're exploring this concept, and we have a few discoveries which are really cool. And so feel free to check those out. You heard it here first. So, I mean, the idea is to present these ideas. The goal is to present these ideas to the public, and we kind of work through it. But what we're working through is we have a few concepts that we're exploring. And the beautiful thing is with open enterprise, this environment allows us to test these theories, to implement some proprietary frameworks that we're building. So we do have a couple open source repos that we will be sharing here soon in the future. We have this idea or this concept we like to talk about. It's called the uh, yeah. So we have this idea of a discipline stack that we think is really essential, and we're testing that out right now. The beautiful thing is, once we get open enterprise up and going, we have a few technical difficulties. This A lot of this stuff is just will be lived beyond theory and be applicable to actual entrepreneurs or businesses who want to build agentic companies and perhaps maybe even want to, um, you know, turn part of your organization into an agentic component of your business. So that's kind of what we're working towards. That is what we're working towards. And so we introduced these concepts. One of our concepts that we like to explore, or that we are exploring, is the idea of an autonomy chain, which essentially is a full decision loop that governs how agents move from context to judgment to execution to review. And this is essential in an organization, right? An employee gets context, right? What is context? Well, maybe that's a specific objective or a specific directive that that person needs to go and work towards. And then within that whole process, there's this level of judgment that the individual has to make. They have to make certain judgment calls to direct their actions, right? To ultimately achieving, right, or to make the proper execution, right, and then to make a review. And the problem is, well, not the problem, but a lot of these AI agents that we see today, they're purely just loops and they're automations. And there's a missing piece here, which we like to call the autonomy chain. And within that autonomy chain, we have what's called our discipline stack. And this is the governance layer that, in a way, it constrains autonomy, right? Full autonomy is great, and we want to eventually get there. But within organizations, especially in the early days, full autonomy is a little scary. And it's scary because there's a level of trust. Or there's a wall between the trust of you and that agent. So what we're introducing here is this idea of a discipline stack. It's a framework that consists of hard guards, and these hard guards prevent catastrophic actions, right? So think about that time when the lady at Meta, I believe, she sent an email or she set up her open call to handle her emails. Context window got flooded. It was too much, so I had to restart. And what did that agent end up doing? He just kept deleting emails. So things of that nature is where hard guards really help. But then you want to introduce soft norms, right? That shape behavior over time. And then obviously think about it. If you ever worked in an organization, what do you typically have? You have a 90-day review or annual review. And this is where our concept of that inside of an organization we call periodic hygiene, and the agent does this. So this what this does, it just catches drift essentially. And then we have this idea called constrained self-improvement, and this lets the agent learn without destabilizing the system. So finally, we have all of this, and we've kind of created a we call an organizational infrastructure, and it's the timing, the learning, the conflict resolution system that keeps everything coherent. And we like to call these heartbeat organizations. So it's essentially a time structure, and it's a pin-only learning, right? Knowledge accumulation and escalation and exception handling, so conflict and failure management. So, I mean, these are at the end of the day, these are not product features. These are not features that we're going to have in open enterprise. This is like the governing layer of how these agents work. It's they are organizational design problems, which we've noticed, and they're largely unsolved. So this isn't like a feature you get inside of open enterprise. Like, oh, this is infrastructure for these agents in the future, right? So that's what we're building. That's kind of what we're exploring. But I don't want to bore you too much. If you're interested in this type of stuff, please go check out Agentic Foundry. Let me open up Open Enterprise, and I'm going to go back over to Cursor and see what that was about. Having a lot of technical issues with Cursor. Also, if you are new to the channel, I mean, this is your first time joining us, we are doing an exciting thing where we are tracking our way to creating 1 million entrepreneurs with agentic business. That is our goal, right? We want to provide value first. The monetary reward will come later. We believe if we can help 1 million entrepreneurs, um, if we can create 1 million entrepreneurs with agentic businesses, that'll be a net positive. That'll be a net positive for everybody. So right now we're at 3. We got a long ways to go, but how you can do that is be a part of our ecosystem. Build your business on Open Enterprise, or start to integrate your business on Open Enterprise. Open Enterprise is it's a full stack, and it's important to know that it's not a Claude code. It's more than that. It's not a ChatGPT. It's more than that. It's an organizational structure for you to manage your agents to build companies, right? If you want to build a company that's fully agentic, you go to Open Enterprise. And those agents work with Claude Code tools or Google anti-gravity tools or the Meta API. So it's important to delineate between what Open Enterprise is and what some of these other tools are. So we're not a vibe code tool, but you can deploy an agent to use a vibe code tool. So we're like a layer. I would say almost like a layer two, right? We have underneath the hood. I would say we have OpenClaw. OpenClaw is an amazing open source repo. So we leverage that, leverage some of the core technologies in OpenClaw, and then we've added our own improvements as well to it. So the ability to have agents with heartbeats and souls is great, right? The ability to have agents access many tools is great, and that's where OpenClaw kind of stops. So where we've taken it is a step further, where okay, these agents have access to tools, but how do we get those agents to effectively use those tools with other agents inside of an organization or inside of a business? And how we get them to work together and continue to work together towards that business's goal. And so that's where we have open enterprise. So let me see what's going on here. So I'm seeing some crazy stuff here. So right now, if you're new, if you're just tuning in, we're trying to resolve this issue, and I'll show you here. This is an issue we're having where user comes in, clicks mission control. It looks like we're getting somewhere. So this is working, but and we're just working. So if you want to join in, work with us, work with me, more than welcome. Drop if you're building something, drop it in the chat. Let us know what you're working on. That's so we can all help each other. You know, it's brutal out there in the SaaS space. I'm gonna share. If you guys use Cursor, I'm gonna share something with you guys. Hold on, so, and look, guys, look. I'm doing this stream and I'll look back and be like, damn, remember those days when there was zero people here? We got zero people here, but it's all good. All right. So one cursor rule that I love that I can share with you guys with you if you're interested, but it's a commit message. So now I have a specific structure to my commits when I'm doing version control, and I commit it to state my changes and commit it to GitHub. So this is cool. Essentially, what it does is in Cursor you have this commit message, and when you press this, it generates a commit message for you. So I have these specific rules that frame the message so I know what has been worked on, what was improved. So I can share this with you guys if you guys are interested. Let me know. But we need to get back on saddle and get this working. So it appears right off the bat, working with GPT 5.4, it appears to be a little more, a bit more detailed, I would say, a little bit more technical. So it really feels like you're working with a tech lead or a CTO. Um, it's been working on this specific issue for a while, and I feel as if it goes in deep, which is fine. But you also got to be careful at times because um, it can over engineer. It hasn't yet, but if you're not watching the chat, um, the agent will know. Now, what's interesting here, and I want to highlight this, is our goal. So, and this will be exciting for people who kind of are where are where I'm at. Not where I'm at. What am I saying? This will be interesting because what we are essentially trying to do is I want to remove cursor entirely from my workflow eventually and use Open Enterprise. And I don't want to use Open Enterprise in a way that's going to replace cursor. But I want my agents to use these tools, not me, right? I want to communicate my ideas and my vision of what needs to work. Um, I gotta just make sure. Yeah. So the idea is these tools, like everything you see out there, your agents will be able to have access to and use and go with. Now, granted, we're building software, so we're very much focused on these development tools. But in an organization, there's many other tools that you need that's not just building apps. Maybe you're not an app builder, right? Maybe you're an agency. Also, if we have any agency people out there who are trying to start an agency, let me know because I'm really trying to set up OpenClaw to be useful to people who want to start agencies. So if you want to go out and set up services and businesses or provide agentic services to small businesses, you can leverage Open Enterprise for that. And that is a use case that we really want to test, right? Imagine you can have a whole army, a whole enterprise that's agentic, and you're serving customers, and you can have one retainer. So we want to power that infrastructure for you, so you don't have to set up personal open clause for everybody. To me, that's not an ideal business use case. I think it's great in the early days because it's first movers, and but part of that I think is it's going to become it's going to become less interesting for people who want to have their own. And I'm not talking about the tinkerers. I'm the talking about business owners, right? I'm talking about people who aren't technical. Um, And so what I think was going to happen is you have this first wave of people who are selling these services, right? $2,000 to set up an open claw to me is absurd, right? But if it works, it works, right? I think eventually that craze and that hype's gonna die down. But if you want to build a sustainable agency, go ahead and build it on OpenClaw or on Open Enterprise because we're powered. We have that OpenClaw engine, but it lets you serve customers at scale. Whereas the old model is like you build one or you create an OpenClaw instance for one customer and you got to do it all over again for another. If you have an Open Enterprise account, you can just create new companies and you can service all your clients the same way in one secure setup that's in the cloud, right? So we definitely want to work with agencies, people who want to be agency owners. Reach out to us, and we'd love to let you take a peek under the hood, get you set up. And this is any kind of agency, perhaps your marketing agency, consulting, design agency, right? That way you can alleviate the pressure of having to maintain the claw for people who aren't as technical as yourself. But that's an option. I do want to share with you guys um, we did add some new we added some new let me see if I can get past it. We added some new businesses. Oh yeah, all right, we're good, we're good. Let me show y'all this. And if you guys are building, let me know. Throw a dub in the chat. Know my builders. But hey, eventually you gotta go out and sell. You can't just build unless you already have a job. This is my full-time job. So we're going to break into the software market. We're going to create something meaningful, and we're going to be, mark my words, we're going to be leaders in the space. And so I want you guys to find your passion, find your passion, find what you enjoy doing, and go all out, go all out. You know, I think this actually will be interesting to kind of highlight here because I don't think I have yet. So you can understand exactly how we plan to run it over here. All right, so. Uh, all right, so what we've done inside of Open Enterprise, and I want to reiterate, we are not a vibe coding tool. This is not. We are an operating system for agentic businesses. That's what we are. Keep that in mind. So your vibe coding tool of choice should be, could, in theory, plug into this. We want you to be able to take whatever you use, whatever workflow you use, plug it in to have your agents. This is an agent first framework, right? This is an agent first software. So what's cool is added some additional companies that I want to show you guys. So we just added some new companies. So check this out. So now on Open Enterprise, if you want to launch a fashion brand, you can. If you want to build and publish games, you can. Manufacturing, we got that. If you want to create a beauty business, you can. If you want to start a crypto company, you can. If you want to go into trading, you can. You can do it all here, baby. If you run an events, if you're an events coordinator or if you have an events company, you can do it here. You start off here. Now, it's important to know that depending on your industry, is it's going to dictate once you go through the flow and you set up your CEO. It's going to dictate who your CEO chooses to hire. So, for example, if you let's say you are a wedding planner, so you click events because that's an event, and as you build out your CEO is going to probably hire a marketing person, a social media agent, or marketing agent, and you can obviously hire more agents. You can hire unlimited agents, and that is going to be sort of the framework for your company. If you want to if you want to start a gaming enterprise, maybe you're ambitious and you want to, go beat Blizzard, or perhaps you want to build Roblox games. Your CEO is going to hire agents that have that skill set around building games. Um, Maybe you're in manufacturing, right? So the beautiful thing is that initial onboarding experience, your dashboard, it's gonna have your agents that are tailored towards your industry. So this is a cool feature that we have, and we're gonna keep adding companies. This is like we want to be the go-to place for agenting businesses, and so this is important for us to really make sure we support all all businesses. Um, so that was interesting. That was fun. Like, I wanted to make sure we did that. And comment in the chat if there's a business you want to see on. We'll make it happen. Um, Another update that we pushed was we added a few more skills, and we added some security hardening to those skills. So yeah, just wanted to update you guys on that. And if you can think of any more businesses that we can add to the platform, let us know. I'm gonna go ahead and switch back over to Cursor. So give me a moment here. If you're just joining us, welcome. I just want to say thanks for stopping by. This is a stream where I am live coding an application, and we're going to scale it, we're going to market it, and um, we're focusing on open enterprise. So that is our baby right now. Show you guys what I'm looking at, and drop a comment in the chat and let us know where you're from. You know, first person to do that, I'll give you a free month to use Open Enterprise when we launch. Right now, we are in the beta or the waitlist. So we are onboarding or we're waitlisting about 500 people. And then eventually, once we are ready, we're going to open the application up for those 500 people. We're taking our time here, doing some marketing, spreading the word. But if you catch this stream, even after the live stream, if you're the first person to post a comment and let us know first what you need to do, you have to be a subscriber. You have to be a subscriber. You have to like and you have to share this live stream with somebody who you think would love this, and then let us know what you're building. Right? What do you do? What are you building? And the first person to do that, I'm gonna hook you up. I'm gonna hook you up with a 3 month of open enterprise, so you can test it out. You can start your business in open enterprise. Very very generous. So even if you watch this after the fact, definitely I'm gonna acknowledge that. So we are doing a live meetup on Open, and let me share that. Let me see if we can get the founder of Open on here in a minute. So just give me a sec. So I have my agent working. Look, my process is a little different. Um, so right now I don't have the computer speed to like have 34 1,000 freaking agents going on at the same time, which is why I'm excited for Open Enterprise because it's in the cloud. I'm not limited to bandwidth. So I'm not one of these people who will have like 60 Claude code screens up and I'm just cranking out shit. Like nah, I'm a little more slow. I'm a slower. I can move fast. Like don't get me wrong, but right now I'm streaming and I'm live streaming. I have a cursor going and it's a bit much on my little MacBook. But if that's how you work, that's how you work. No shame. But we're looking for something epic, and we're testing all the models, and we're doing all that. Nah, we don't do that over here. Um, and I quite frankly kind of like this approach of building. Um, I've always been someone who's just been methodical with things, and a lot of preparation went in beforehand when I approached the idea of developing open enterprise. And there are times where I go into just super mode and I have 4 or 5 agents going. But right now we're trying to solve through a big bug, and it's taken a while. And so I'm not sure if there's some throttling on OpenAI's side. We are using GPT 5.4. I think GPT 5.4 is solid. It does the job. I switched. I'm not a loyalist by any means. I just like to see who does what or which model does what. I've noticed that GPT 5.4 at the moment is really good with like the heavy technical stuff. So that's why we're using it. Um, and I have noticed recently with the Claude model, there's just been some throttle in there where I would submit a query and it would just say, they're experiencing limits. So I just popped on down to GPT-4. So if you're wondering what model I'm using, that's what I'm using. Um, so give me a sec. I'm gonna call this open founder. So let's see the answers. Like he's like marking his own shit, but I'm gonna call him up, get him on that. He's a fellow builder, so give me a sec. All right, I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. He's busy. Stay tuned tomorrow. Tune in with us tomorrow if you want to get firsthand feedback of a non-technical founder who doesn't know anything about code and built an entire app with his OpenClaw agent. So I think this is a pretty cool story. The guy is a just a regular guy. Doesn't know anything about coding. Prior to building his app, didn't know anything about back end, front end. So it's cool. It's cool to see that the barrier to entry has been removed. Like it or not, I think that's a good thing for the space because because he is who he is. He had fresh ideas that people who are just technical or design focused won't ever have. So stay tuned tomorrow, and I'm going to bring him on tomorrow, and we're going to chop it up, have a little session. He's going to explain, like I said, non-technical guy built an application with OpenClaw. Pretty cool story. Also, I have in a future video or a future live stream, I'm going to set up a fresh new OpenClaw. I have it in the back. I have a brand new Mac Mini. Yeah, I got on the hype train. So I got a brand new Mac Mini. I have a brand new little mini screen, and I'm gonna set up my own OpenClaw again. Um, and this one's gonna be different. So this particular one is gonna be more of like my personal assistant. The the instances or the agents that I have in Open Enterprise, those are more along the lines like business focused. So I want to really separate the two. Um, and hopefully, I can test and experiment because what'll be really cool in the future is if you have your own claw, being able to integrate that claw into Open Enterprise. So I'll be able to test that, get this one set up, go through that process. All right, let's check and see what we have going on here. Yes, it's just working, man. It's I don't want to get it going on anything else right now because this is a pretty big problem that we have. And just to recap, I was facing issues with the login. So on the home screen, you have launch company, and then you have mission control. And when I would hit mission control, it would take me to a screen where it was like almost stuck, just frozen. And so we're trying to debug that right now. Now, the thing I love about working in Cursor is it's got a few different modes that work for me, where you can put it in plan mode, you can put it in debug mode. Like I'm very visual, and I know a lot of guys prefer like the terminal, and the terminal's great. Terminals I use the terminal from time to time, but I find myself using the agent. This is the terminal here. Uh, Using the agent workflow, and if you are like if you're a Claude Code maximalist, you can launch Claude Code inside of Cursor. So I don't know. I think Cursor's slick. I love it. It does the job. You can also bring your own keys. It just works for me, and I don't plan on switching my workflow until we have Open Enterprise built. Once Open Enterprise is built, that'll be the workflow. So, um, additionally, I can actually launch another thing. Open up another project to show you guys what. So we've tabled this, and you might be wondering, like, dude, what do you like? What do you focus on? What do you build? So I have three software tools that I'm working on. One is already in production, and I may or may not, I may or may not, let's see, I may or may not share that one. I'm not. sure yet. And now when I'm actively getting customers, I haven't focused on really getting doing the sales on that recently because I got tied up in this tool. But my day consists of in the day, like I just brute force cold call to grow this other tool, and once I get that tool kind of going, I'll share that with you guys. Um, but that's the one tool, and then I have this. We have Open Enterprise. So Open Enterprise is the primary focus of my live stream. So we have that, um, and then we have this one's called Builder. Builder. That's not the real name. That's why I got. That's what I'm calling it right now. Let's just have to pull this up to make sure. This one gotta open up more. Let's take a look at this project. Let's see where we left off at. Pretty cool project actually. And I want to get better in cursor. I love cursor. Cursor, if you're seeing this, throw your boy some credit. I love it too. I love this too. I love the workflow. I've gotten used to it. It was my first intro into agentic design or agentic development. You guys have a great product. Love Cursor. Highly recommend Cursor. I'm not sponsored by the way. I know a lot of people out here that are getting Cursor credits, man. Throw me some Cursor credits. Cursor also just dropped their new model. I just saw that came in, so we'll be testing that. Composer's all right. I'm gonna just keep it a bug. It's all right. It does it does the job. You know, it's like a worker bee, a worker ant. Um, but I tend to be locked in with the frontier models, and that can get kind of pricey. But not everything requires a frontier model. So let me see what's going on. I'm trying to load up this other project that I have in Spin Table. I like to. Or I want to recommend that um, I'm not a big I'm not a big supporter of like building 300 things at once, unless you're just like you're a savant. But I find that when I take my time and I build one or two things at a time, you tend to like learn. For me at least, I learn pretty well that way, and you pick up things you can bring into the next project. So um, I'm not going to start any more projects because I want to really do something meaningful with these ones, and I want to create a portfolio of SaaS tools that are powerful. So this tool right here is called Builder, and Let's go ahead and do a PM dev. So I'm just doing an npm run dev to launch this up in the dev environment. So we can go ahead and show this. So we can go ahead and spin this up in localhost. So this is booting up. So it looks like we are on localhost. So I need more tokens, man. I need more tokens. So this is built on TypeScript. So I build a lot. So you guys, if you don't know, I do build a lot. Oh wow, 105 days. Damn, it's been a minute since I worked on this. So it's fine. Let's go ahead and let me pull up the. Actually, let's do a browser. I think it is. Browser. So there should be a command for that. Here we go. This. Let's collapse this. Let's collapse this. So I'm going to show you guys Builder. Bear with me. I just want to close that. Full screen. Go. Let's close that. Let's make sure we do this. So this is the other tool, and I'm gonna explain to you what I plan to do here. 'Cause this I think will change the game for um, for our open enterprise. Let's see if I got that. So, or let's see. So I'm having a build issue here. So if you just tuned in, I'm trying to launch this new, with this old tool I'm working on while we're waiting on our other agent to fix the open enterprise. Actually, let me change the model on this. We'll go compose. So we're just I'm trying to launch this small tool. Let me kill this terminal. So right now we have the internal browser open up here. We'll just do this. Let's project locally. Test. And, so I'm just having it launch the project locally so I can test in that. We don't have this hooked up to anything. This will probably help surface any issues that we had with the build. It's like I have worked on this project. It's like 105 days. So that's why I say it's good to have a couple things you work on because you want to take your stuff to the finish line. That's important. And the only way you can do that is if you are constantly working on stuff. So, or working, honing in on your focus, dialing in your focus. So this was an exciting idea I had, and I really saw it through. We will see this through, and going to build this out once I have Open Enterprise. So this will be a tool that your agents will be able to use inside of Open Enterprise. It's a design tool, actually. Um, so what's cool is I've talked about this a little bit in the past, but it takes you through a design process or a product development process. Pretty simple, and then by the time you get to the end of like the flow, you it gives you a scaffolding script to go ahead and place and put inside any sort of builder IDE, and you kind of have the scaffolding and the bare bones of your application ready to go. So I do want to finish this. I want to make sure that we build this thing out. So I'm gonna look at some of my docs. Always important to make when you're building stuff, make have good documentation. So in the event where you don't work on something for a while, you can come back to it. So I think I have some good docs here. Let's see if I some docs. Okay, cool. So I have some good docs here. This is my build plan. So just to give you a little bit of what I do when I'm building out an application. Sometimes if I'm lazy, I don't. But usually, good practice is I create what are called I create a UXD document, which is a user experience document, a UIDD document, this is user interface document, design document, SRS, which is a like infrastructure document, security, PRD, which is a product requirements document, and I have a quality assurance plan, and my README. And then I usually have it build out, create a build plan and an architecture plan, which essentially just kind of walks through how all of this is going to be built out. And I love to have these live in my docs. I create a docs folder in my project, and it just kind of lives there. Because, for example, it's been so long, I can come into my PRD and figure out what it is. What are we doing? So the goal is a one-liner scaffold, stable CLI, spec deterministic brand, primary security, right, non-goals, replacement, expertise, success metrics. So this is a terrible PRD. I usually have a way more in-depth PRD, and I need to continue like following the proper steps I have in place here. So this is a terrible PRD. I usually have it filled out. It usually looks like this. These are all terrible. I think it's because it just spun these up so quick. So let's see if I have any kind of context that is beneficial. this is terrible. I think this is probably the best. This is probably the best idea. The best. Ready? Okay, so this is my this. Okay, I combine everything into one. That's what it is. Still not a good practice, but this build plan is everything. So future picker AI models. Review. Anyway, so it looks like so there is a five. So I was inspired by this other software. This called 5 Day Sprint style scaffolding tool and dashboard that lets users describe an idea, pick a feature, choose that model, and online token used by public CLI to fetch a spec and dynamically compose generator from a registry to scaffold the tech stack. So it's a web, mobile, API, machine learning, database, payments, etc. The web UI mirrors the reference for search, yeah. Let's see if we can get this launched. So I can show you that. So that's active. Let's web workspace package. We should open the terminal. Okay. Well, this guy up. So, so what is that local host? Get failed. Trying to get this up so you guys can see it. So we probably need a CD, which is change directory. CD. So let's change that. So now we're in. We change to the and let's go PNP. Dev. So we're gonna just CD into that. Should work. Okay, I'm running PNP install. Let's see. So there's an update. Alright, so we're gonna update. So Totally guessed on that. Command PM update. Was updating. That's funny. Terminals are good. Like it's good to get comfortable with the terminal. That's important. So now we want to so we want to PNP, PNPM approve the dash builds. Builds. Choose the package builds. All right, we're trying to run this build. Build. So, so I'm just running this build. And dev should have worked. So I'm having it installed with proper dependencies. Let me check on Open Enterprise to see where bro, that was crazy. So we need to make okay. So I like to understand things when the code is done, and so I'm gonna go ahead and write a voice note here because that is important. Like when you get when I'll show you what they have here. Well, that's on my API routes, so I probably won't show that. But it says it's ready to deploy, so it's just crazy. But let's do this. Let's do this real quick. So you're looking at builder, and I have Enterprise open in another cursor window. There. So I got two things going on at once. So, and if you're new to the stream, if you're popping in, we're just vibing, vibe coded. I have two projects I'm kind of tackling at the moment. I had a big bug that we needed to resolve inside of Open Enterprise, which is the main focus here. We had an issue with the login um, for the what's it called, the mission control button. It was taking the user to a page that just was stuck, so we had to resolve that. And what we found out is what I found out is that that was a proxy issue that I was having with Cloudflare. So currently I have Cloudflare um, off, and I'm just going to use Vercel. Vercel has a native sort of DDoS prevention, bot prevention setup out of the box for now. So that ended up being like a 3-4 hour event. Chris was trying to figure GPT-4 trying to figure that out. And then at the current thing I'm having issues with is launching my builder tool locally. And so what you're looking at is this code, this workflow here. So I'm just pasting what I found in the console log. See deployment. And for you guys out there, probably more technical than me, you probably gonna do this and be like, this is what the problem is, but not technical at all. And I am technical to a degree, like I'm pretty dangerous. I can do some stuff, but right now, just so the next thing I'm gonna do here is, so I don't have a Whisper tool or anything set up, and I really need a nice. I don't type. I love like voice tools, so I might get a new voice. I might build a voice tool so I can talk. But at the moment, my flow is I open up ChatGPT and I use their dictation tool. Essentially, we want a good dictation tool, and their dictation tool is pretty solid. So what we're gonna do here is we got a bunch of output from our Open Enterprise application. So I need more understanding, right? So I'm gonna talk to you. All right. So testing. Okay, so we just got output from the results of everything we worked on, but I need more clarity and understanding into what the actual issue was. Was Cloudflare the culprit here, and what is the impact on the current state of the application? What is the impact from the changes that you've made? I also want to make sure that these changes aren't creating any unnecessary code bloat or security vulnerabilities. It looks like you've made a couple routing changes as well as some additional API updates. And the next thing I want to make sure is we do understand the importance of middleware, but please reiterate the importance of that and whether or not how you kept the middleware scopes to page traffic instead, if that was the elite approach and a production ready approach. instead of the API. We want to make sure that we're building a production ready application and that we are taking security, we're using the proper guardrails, we're going with the proper API, the API structure, the API approach, and by implementing the proper API approach here for the application. And then also just give me a health check on where the application is in terms of everything that you've just implemented. All right, guys. So what I like to do is periodically, if I get a bunch of stuff that I'm reading, it isn't fully clear. I think it's important that you learn with AI and not just say, "Hey, build this, fix this." If you can understand what it's doing and what it's building, this helps you out with your prompting for like a future tool. So what I noticed is there were some issues here with the API, and the middleware was causing some problems, as well as some issues with Cloudflare, the proxying of Cloudflare. And this is the first application I've leveraged Cloudflare on, and I need to understand this because I want to make sure that we can avoid these pitfalls or these potholes in the application as well. Like, one of the big problems we're having is some of this authentication, the OAuth issues, which tends to be a big problem. And, quite frankly, I'm sorry guys, but I might not have OAuth anymore. Stupid. I like Magic Link. Put in your email, you get a link. That's what we have. But I do know a lot of you guys are Discord users, and we do want to support Web3. So we do have the ability to sign in OAuth with Discord, as well as OAuth with MetaMask, and I think GitHub. GitHub was so smooth. Love GitHub. But the reality of it is probably most of our users aren't going to have GitHub, and I doubt any developers are going to use this tool. Like, developers tend to gravitate towards the open source stuff, which is fine. But I do think we'll get a group of young hustlers, young people, and that's what I want. I want future generations, people who are hungry and want to be entrepreneurs. Like, this tool is for them, as well as existing businesses. But those are the three OAuth tools we have. We also have, like I said, the Magic Link, which is pretty cool. I love that. It's I guess you can call it an OTP, which is a one-time password. But you just put your email in, sends you a link to sign in. Um, Pretty clean, pretty straightforward. So I just prompted it that. So while it resolves that or answers my questions, I'm gonna pop back over here and we're gonna see what the dealio. All right, so here's what's going on. Local skills is not a correct deployment. The address in your local next just a server. It only exists with that. While a forward port is active. While code space up. Reference it doesn't deploy to internet deployments. Okay, all right. So this is the issue. It's thinking that I want to deploy production, but I figured out what we need to do. Okay, so we need to change the directory. So we go ahead. And if any of you guys like, I'm always open to learn. Like, if someone can just really break it down for me, I can use AI, but I want to have this be an engaging thing. We have PNPM, and we have NPM, and I'm just like, what the hell? What the hell? It's probably basic. I know they're frameworks, but so let's do this. So we got to change the direction. We got to do terminal. Actually, I'm just asking. So I'm not looking to have anything built or deployed via GitHub. It's I'm looking to have something built and deployed locally, and that is the issue that I'm struggling with. And then I really need you to explain to me the difference between PNPM and NPM, and like why does NPM not work, but I need to do PNPM. I swear, if you're listening to this, cursor, your guys' dictation tool is ass. I love your software, but your dictation tool is complete trash. That's such a little nuanced like thing you could fix. There's people out here building voice apps. Like, come on, cursor, put some. The future is people not typing. So if you could really, if you see this, I love your software. I'm a power user. You can check my account. I've spent so much money with you guys. And actually, I would love it if you gave me a credit because I could post some crazy stuff, make some good content. But please fix this thing. The dictation tool is so bad. My workflow is I go to ChatGPT and I use their dictation tool. Now, it was cool when you guys rolled out with it. I remember when there wasn't dictation, but now there is dictation. It's kind of like you just threw that in there. So honestly, if you guys could really improve that, that would be amazing. And I'm sure there's a lot of other people out there that use Persian that would love that. 'Cause like I don't want to download. I don't want to pay for Whisper Flow. Like that's silly. Um, I'm already paying for ChatGPT, so I just use their dictation. All right. So all of that stuff that I tried to say, I didn't pick it up, so I got to do it again. And this time we're gonna use the good old. He's your best friend. He never lets you down. He's always there. ChatGPT. You know, people shit on ChatGPT. People shit on OpenAI. I love it. It's always consistent. Never fails. It's just a workhorse. So shout out to Sam Altman. I respect it, man. Sam, you're a hustler, dude. All right, enough glazing. Let's talk. Okay, so testing. Okay, so there's a couple things I need to understand because it's important that I have understanding about this process. So, what is the difference between npm run dev and npm build and npm dev? Like, what is the difference there? And then also, why can't I just use npm run dev to launch it on localhost? And why do I have to run npm dev? I really need some clarity here, and I want to understand the difference, the use cases, perhaps the similarities, if there are any, with these. Like, help me understand, and then help me deploy this locally. It looks like I know what we need to do, but just kind of resurface those step by steps. Look, guys, I'm glad you're here because the reality of it is you probably are not really good at agentic development, and I want to let you guys know that we are all in this together. And when it's an opportunity for me to learn, I hope you guys can learn something too. So, you know, I'm a product designer professionally. I'm a UI UX designer, and just to give you some story. Like last year is when I really started my agentic development. We call it Vibecoding, but really it's agentic development. I call it that because I'm not vibing. I'm really trying to develop a software with AI agents, AI tools. So I think vibe is just a really kind of trendy term, and I hope we evolve and mature out of that. Um, This series is called Vibecoded, but really what we're doing here is just agentic development, right? And I came to agentic development because um, there was a problem, right? I was trying to build. I've always been trying to build stuff, and I was even trying to build stuff like way before AI really hit the scene, and I was using developers in Ukraine. I was always trying to build software, but my handicap was learning how to code. And I tell you, if you have a desire to learn how to code, more power to you. I say go for it. I think it's great to learn how to code. I don't think in this day and age of AI that you should not learn how to code. I think if you learn how to code, it helps you. It helps you to know what to say to the AI, how to prompt it. Like the reason why I can get killer ass UI because I know how to talk to the tool. Like a lot of people you'll see online is like, hey, build me a cool UI, make it cool, make it really special, let's improve it, and I need this to be a unique AI. Like, what the hell is that? You just said a bunch of nothing, right? But because I've been trained in development and design, I know how to say, hey, look, make the website responsive using the grids and cards methodology, right? Make sure you abide by typical UX UI standards, right? Um, little things like your vocabulary is more refined than someone who's just trying to throw shit together and build the tool, right? Same with development. I feel like if you want to learn development, learn that shit. Learn development. Get really good at it. But also know what you're really trying to do is train yourself to know how to speak. And then I also believe that if as you work with these tools, it's a great opportunity to have the tool teach you what it's doing. So like some people may look at me and be like, dude, you don't know what NPM is or PNPM is. Like, come on, who cares? Like I can learn and it's making me that much better at my craft. So I highly recommend you guys to do that. Like throughout your workflow, if there's something that you don't understand, slow down. You know what I mean? It's not about getting rich quick. Slow down, learn about what it is you're building, what it is it's doing. And then that's just gonna ultimately what that's gonna help you do is it really helps with the next project. Your first software tool is gonna be ass. It is. Like I can post old stuff that I built. It's not gonna be great. But by learning what you're doing and learning what worked and what doesn't work, it really helps improve the next thing you build and the next thing you build. So um, this prompt was a good example of me needing to understand that because I'm thinking like I can just spawn up an old repo that I worked on 105 days ago and put npm run dev in the terminal and it should work, and it doesn't. So this is important. So we're gonna go ahead and paste that. We're gonna paste that into the chat, and I'm using their Composer 2 tool here. Here, let me put it back on the screen because we're gonna get this thing launched locally so I can show you the sauce. We want to show you this tool if you haven't seen it already. If you go back to some of the first live streams, this was like the initial tool I've been working on. But ever since we had that breakthrough with OpenClaw, I've pivoted. All right, let's learn. We're gonna learn right here. Okay, so what we got going on? I must say, when they say Composer too fast, it is fast. So that is kind of good. All right, so each command is for. Okay, we know this. Dev is for starting the development server. Next.js servers, yes. So serves the app on localhost. Okay. So this is in the Next.js app. So dev, so when you do npm run dev, it starts the development server, right? That's your dev environment. Next.js, next dev serves the app on localhost. Fast refresh, remote errors not optimized for production. You know that. Build compiles the app for production. Next build, right? does not keep a server running for you to click around. It's a one-off compile step. Okay, right. You compile all your files, your application. Let's do that once. Let's see. Next, start serves the production build. Okay. So we're not really worried about production right now because we're not trying to go to prod. So dev equals develop locally. That's why you do npm run dev. Okay. Build equals create production asset. So we're not trying to do that. Start equals run those assets. Okay. There isn't a meaningful third thing called npm dev. That's different from run the dev script. It's about how you invoke the same script. Okay. npm run dev versus npm dev. npm only has shortcuts without or if you start test, stop, start. Dev is not one of them. So the reliable form npm is npm run dev. If npm dev ever evokes on the machine, it's usually because of a tool size version quirk or a global package, not something you should count on. Prefer npm run dev. PNPM, what this repo uses is a bit nicer. These are the equivalent. Both run the dev script from the package JSON. Why this project says PNPM, repo is a PNPM workspace. Okay, new workspace. Now, installing with NPM can ignore the log process workspace versions or hoisting. So locally, you should use PNPM for installing the scripts. The repo root to core pack this path. Yeah, um, interesting. Let's try this. Let's go. So let's change the directory here. So we'll go cd apps slash web, then we'll go pnpm. Should work. Core patch. Well, yeah. So, so my today there, cd apps slash web. So I'm in the web directory, pnpm. So this is what we'll do a production style approach. So pnpm dev, that's not so go to root. Repeat it. And while that does that, I'm gonna go ahead and go over to okay. So I had it work. So this is an open enterprise right now. So we're working on two apps right now. The first app I'm just trying to launch. So you can see it. Really the main what we got going on over here. So this is what actually broke. The main production issue was not software. The real root cause was a routing conflict inside the Next.js app. Not an API tree. Under the API, it's code base of two sleeping dynamic server names at the same level. Reversals and 16 that can slightly break route handling initialization. The next part is we got 2 hours straight. Love it. So look, I'm gonna wrap it up here. It's been a good little run. I opened up the cursor so you can kind of see what we're working with. We did have some slight issues here. Um, let me see before I jet. Let's see if we can perhaps we can launch up Open Enterprise and play around it a little bit. Let's see. Let's see if I we're in, guys. We are in. It looks beautiful. Oh man. Okay, let me show y'all the sauce. Okay, we're in. Look, don't ever let anyone tell you that you can't build something, that you need to be a developer, or you're just gonna put. And you know what? I'm gonna get on my soapbox here. So, if you're like me, occasionally I like to watch inspiring content. You know, basically it's just content of like privileged, privileged motherfuckers who I mean, granted, lucky them, they managed to get some sort of funding, right? But they have some BS concept, and because they live in a certain part of the country, they're around the right circles. It is what it is, right? No hate over here, but the hate that what I hate is when they try and tell you that you know vibe coding is dead, and if you vibe code, you just put it on malicious software, and you can't build meaningful software when you vibe code. Or they just really shit on people. The problem is the reality of it is the barrier to making software has completely been it's a level playing field, right? We have the same capabilities as they do now. Granted, they might have a level of expertise, a level of experience, right? And maybe they can put out better, cleaner code, but that doesn't matter. If you have enough grit and determination, you really are passionate, you want to build something, you can do it. So, look, all I'm saying is I'm trying to hype you guys up. Don't give up. Don't listen to people. Don't listen to people unless they're your customer or user. Don't listen to them. And let's take a look at what we have. Like, I mean, I'm telling you, the world is not ready for this. If you want access, if you want early access to open enterprise, get in line. I make good software. Get in line because this tool is for the new entrepreneur. Let me pull it up. Let's get in this. Let's get in this mission control. We made it. We got the mission control up. working. So this is our mission control. We got it up and working. So the nice thing is now that we have mission control up and working, that took the entire stream. Uh, we can now we can focus on some other things tomorrow. So we got our mission control up, and this tool is oh my gosh, it's amazing. I would much like look. Don't get me wrong, but I would much rather look at this than look at like a Claude Code agent thing or a terminal. Personally, I'm all about the UI. I want to look at something that makes sense to me and that feels natural to me. Like we're not all coders, we're not all developers, but it's important. It's important that people like there out there in the world we can build software for everyone. So anyway, so the big thing is we got access to this. We have a few like well more than a few. There's always going to be things we need to update, but we have some items that we need to address. Some house cleaning that needs to happen, and um, the first thing that I have a bone to pick with my application is we want to improve performance speed. So that is we'll run an audit. Here's a cheat code. If there's something that isn't particularly that is a problem in your application, maybe you're having like API issues, or maybe it is like database problems or whatever. One prompt trick I like to say is I like to pause the software or the agent, the LLM from making code and updating and pushing out new features. And I like to have it run an audit, right? So one of the problems that I'm not really a fan of is the speaking, the performance. Performance is always important for me. I like snappy. So we're gonna make some performance changes here in the future too. So I'm gonna have it do a performance audit, and I like to tell it to do that and give me a grade, give me a health score. So you can use that to your advantage. So say whatever you're working on, hey, give me a performance check or a security check or a database audit, a security audit, and then give me a health score at the end. And by telling it to give you a health score at the end, it really compiles all the context, all the research it did, and then what it'll do is it'll give you a score. Like, and typically what I like to ask is like, hey, with that health score, let me know if we're production ready or not. So anyway, we want this to be snappy. And look at this, isn't this cool? These are our agents we got working. I don't know. To me, this is the vibe I'm going for. Like, we're definitely leaning into that 8-bit kind of vibe. And here's something cool I want to show you guys. So if you're kind of nerdy, if you want to edit the room, come in here, you change the furniture. Now, this is kind of janky still, so it's still kind of janky. Like, we still got some work to do. Um, Look at this. Let's get a coffee table in here. I love a coffee table. Now, what's janky about it is that um, stable layout. We got all types of stuff in here. We're gonna make this better. And this hasn't been the focus. But what's janky about it is if you notice some of this, I think these items are a little big. Like this should be a full desk. This should be a full bookshelf. This should be a full table. So we got to dial that in. But this is like last, right? This is cherry on top. Also, what we want is we want our agents to really simulate work. So um, when they're working, we want them to go. Yeah, let's fix some stuff. Uh, let's fix some stuff here. Man, I love this. I love this tool, man. I hope you guys. I hope you. I hope you guys love it as much as me when you that. Let's add that. Okay. My CEO, he couldn't make moves. He was stuck. But, I wanna see my agents move around and do stuff, and when they're working, I want them to be, like, at the desk. When they're not working, not at the desk, things of that nature. So, the the other thing that I wanted to highlight, and I've been kinda working on this, behind the scenes, is our agents, and just so you know, this is like a full-on open claw experience. Like I mentioned, this is the engine, right? And we've added additional layers in here to give it better performance, to give it better intelligence. And so currently what we're working on is I need my agents inside of Open Enterprise to have access to all of these tools, right? So if I say, hey, CEO, or his name's Klein, I need you to create a channel with, let's see who's got on there. Maybe you could do that. It should be able to do that. Jordan Park, right? So in theory, I should be able to go here and say like, hey, I need you to create a channel with Jordan Park, right? And so we've been working through this idea of giving them read and write access. Hey, Klein, I need you to schedule weekly sprints. And so what I did was I asked them to run an audit, right? On this conversation. So I said, yeah, are all tools not exposed directly in the active tool surface? So yeah, let me pull up how butter this is. But, you know what I mean? These little touches, like if you rock with me, I'm gonna get your stuff polished. This doesn't look like AI slop. But let's pop it over here to Boardroom, and I want to show you kind of what's on the roadmap, so you understand the power of open enterprise. Because we believe the future is agentic businesses, agentic enterprises, not just linear agents where you tell them to do one thing, they go do it. No, we want ours. We want an organization that is agentic, right? Not just single off extensions of ourselves, right? Which is fine, and that may fit your workflow. But we're building for future entrepreneurs. We're building for entrepreneurs of today who are looking to implement agentic workflows and agentic, looking to turn a part of their business into an agentic framework. So the first thing I did was, so I'm using my own tool, and I want to highlight this. This is hella meta, hella meta. So before I hop in here, I want to explain you something. So you know, like I'm drinking Kool-Aid too. So Open Enterprise, I'm using Open Enterprise to manage and grow and run Open Enterprise. So I hired a CEO. So that CEO you saw here, he's going to be he is the actual CEO of Open Enterprise. And so as I'm working with him, I'm discovering flaws and bugs and things we need to update in the application. Because if I can get my CEO of Open Enterprise like dialed in, then what that means for my customers and for my users, as soon as they sign up, they won't have to deal with it. So I'm my own user. I'm my own test case. And then I have my other software tool, my other SaaS company here that I spun up another company, and I'm going to create a CEO for that. And the goal is to eventually have my SaaS businesses be fully agentic, where I'm just a board. I can come in, I can check my schedule and see if I have a stand up with the guys, or see if they had a stand up, see where we're at, see how things are moving along. But things keep churning with or without. That is what we're trying to do here. We're doing something completely different. We're not vibe coding tools. We're not an AI social media automation tool. We're not an AI browser. we're focused on building agentic or helping people, allowing people, and empowering people to build agentic businesses, agentic organizations, open enterprises. And we are developing our own proprietary code and our own proprietary frameworks to add on top of what has already been the ground that's been laid, right? The nice thing is with um, the nice thing is with OpenClaw. OpenClaw is just the first step. OpenClaw laid a foundation, and I believe OpenClaw is probably the greatest thing since when ChatGPT hit the stage, right? The way you succeed with OpenClaw is I don't believe you just build a wrapper around it, right? I think there are people that do that, but you can do it one or two ways. You can contribute to the community. I think it's fantastic. And one of our goals is to donate. We will be in a profitable state where we donate a fuck ton of money to OpenClaw to help keep that alive. Thank you, Peter. Thank you to all the dev guys out there, the dev team who's really keeping that ecosystem nurtured. Man, you guys are really a part of something. And I'm gonna build this software and we're gonna sponsor OpenClaw. So there's like you can contribute that way, or you can help grow the ecosystem, right? Build something meaningful, right? I mean, look, if it's a rapper or whatever, sure. Um, the one thing I do not like, and I'm just gonna be quite candid with this, is I'm not a fan of like selling skills. Now, there's people out there that's making a ton of money doing it. That's fine, but I just believe when you try and make money off of stuff like that, like selling skills or like personas, it's really making it hard for people who have an open claw, like to really see that their claw become powerful. Now, there's a lot of great free stuff out there. If you worked hard on it, sure, do what you got to do to make a buck. But we over at Open Enterprise, we don't sell skills. We don't sell personas. Like that's, you can come in here, come to the marketplace. We're gonna always add more skills, right? You come into the marketplace, you find a skill that works for your agent, and you just install that into your agent immediately. These are all Open Enterprise verified. We run an audit with our guardian, and then we have Marty, our agent here, who's our marketplace auditor. So we want to become one of the largest libraries of skills. Now, you do need to have a membership to the software to get access to these. And our skills, you can't really download them and export them. So in that regard, but we're not making money on skills. Like that's not what we're here to do. Um, and quite frankly, you could look. I'm going to tell you what you could do if you really want to like bypass it. You can install a skill and then tell your agent to tell you everything about the skill or export the skill that you just downloaded from our tool, like from our marketplace. Export the skill and then markdown file. Like I don't care. Like I want you to do that, right? Because we don't charge for skills. We're not going to make money off skills. We want you to have access to any skill you can think of to make sure that your enterprise is fully equipped and it's powerful enough to go out and achieve the goals you have set for your enterprise, right? Whether that's make $1 million or grow your company's brand or to increase top line revenue, right? Or to grow the social media. So anyway, I am eating my own dog food. And what's fun is like as I work through this, um, I know that we have the power of that open call engine with the proprietary, streamlined, open enterprise frameworks that we're adding on top of this every day. We're building and innovating every day. So what I did was the first thing that's important to me is we need to make sure that every agent inside of OpenClaw, I keep calling OpenClaw because I love OpenClaw. It's like amazing. But every agent that is inside of Open Enterprise has the ability to use every single tool inside of Open Enterprise. So what does that mean? That means there's a level of read and write access that these agents need, right? read and write accesses are important because read access means it's allowed to see it, and to access it. Write means it's allowed to use it. So I talked to it. I said, are all tools not exposed directly in the active tool surface? It's like, this is how smart this thing is. So first, though, let me back up a little bit. I said, make sure all artifacts exist inside our memory. So this was a conversation we had. He was starting work. And what I noticed is he had scheduled some weekly cadences for meetings, like team stand-ups every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, a founder sync today. And none of this stuff appeared the on the calendar, right? And the calendar tool is a very powerful tool. We'll dig into that another time. And so I asked it, I said, hey, please add all current and future scheduling cadences to the calendar from now on. So I'm asking him to do this stuff preemptively because, ultimately I want him to be able to do it. He said, understood. And he came back and told me there's a few visibility gaps that he had or that I had. And then he also proceeded to tell me that um, he cannot do certain things, right? He said, if you want to be blunt, you're right. I was optimizing for local artifacts. Okay, it's not calendar. So he says, okay, here we go. He says, one honest note is in the interface, I can write workspace files, and use the cadence / memory capable platform tools only if they're exposed directly in the active tool surface. Right now, I can enforce the rule operationally in my behavior and in the artifacts I create, but I can't truthfully claim I have already mirrored the earlier files into the visible memory. So the key thing that I took away from here was that he said was okay, yeah, he said I could write workspaces if only I could write workspace files and use you name the tools, platform tools, only if they are exposed directly. So I had to ask him, I was like, hey, are all tools not exposed directly? So that was the key thing. I noticed that the tools he was mentioning probably weren't exposed. I said, are all the tools exposed directly in the active tool surface? Give me a report regarding that and what you need access to. I need you to have access to every single tool in Open Enterprise. Tell me this is not the way we were intended to interact with our agents, right? I don't want to look at a terminal. I don't want to open up Quad Code. I don't want to do none of that shit. I want to talk to an agent in a chat thread, and he tells me what he needs, and then I get it. So he says, yes, you're right. Now I don't have access to every Open Enterprise tool. That's what I need to get. He says, what I have in the active tool surface is a strong OpenClaw tool set. So off the bat, he has the tools that's already kind of naturally built into OpenClaw, which is great. But like I said, we're taking it a step further. He says, but it's not the full Open Enterprise app tool set you expected. So he proceeded to give me an executive summary of all of the tools that he had. Like, tell me that's not bad. It's like, this is why OpenClaw is amazing. Like, he proactively told, and mind you, this is because you don't get if you have your own OpenClaw, it doesn't come like this out of the box. So on during your onboarding, we we give your CEO a starter pack. So he has the ability to reflect, to think, to plan, to strategize. So the reason why he sounds so polished is because in open enterprise, we don't believe that you start with a naked claw or a naked agent and you have to build it. We build you a CEO leader from day one to help drive your business and to help achieve what you need. So as you can tell, like executive summary is like CEO language. So anyway, he proceeds to give me an executive summary of what tools he has access to. So these are all the tools he has access to. It's pretty cool. Um, but then he went on to tell me what he didn't have access to. And this was important. So all of this stuff, sprints, calendar, vault, stand-ups. And he even told me why he knew this. He said, per the current advice, tool surface tools are only capable if they appear in the prompt slash schema. The docs are explicit on that. So that's why. Like these tools they did not exist in the schema. So if a tool doesn't appear in the system prompt or schema, I cannot call it. The tool list currently exposed to me does not include the Open Enterprise Company tools above. Beautiful. So we need to get these tools exposed into the prompt slash schema. Then he tells me what it means operationally. So right now he can inspect files, edit workplace artifacts, run shell commands, schedule via crons, do browser / web work, which is nice. Like he could go research. And actually I did that. I had him research Open Enterprise and like have him tell me what he thought. That's cool. And then he can message through supported channels, use memory recall, manage sessions / subagents. So perfect. But he cannot do any of the stuff that we need him to do. So now let's back up. I'm gonna push something here. Hold on. Let me take this call. I'm hyped because when people catch on to what we're building over on Enterprise, we're gonna create the next generation of entrepreneurs and small businesses. So hold on real quick. All right, I'm back. All right. The nice thing too is with Open Enterprise, you get a generous amount of tokens. Generous. Especially if you aren't building applications. We give you about 15 million, I think, on the or 25 million on the main. Let me see. I can actually check. Let's see. Yeah, so you get 15 million tokens on the enterprise plan, which is a ton of tokens. Like I haven't even came close, right? And I'm doing like basic I'm doing some stuff, right? Like I'm really having it work with me and I'm talking to it a lot, but like I'm not even haven't even touched it. So if you're a small business owner, or if you're not even a small business owner, if you're an entrepreneur or business owner and you're not building SaaS or apps, like your tokens will last a long time. Now, 15 million tokens is generous, even if you are building applications. But what you can do is once you max out your apps or your tokens, you can pay as you go if you want to do that, or you can bring your own keys. So you have options here, right? We don't want it to be hard. We want to allow you to just come in, plug and play. All right. So what I want to do here is It's pretty fast. Another thing too is because Open Enterprise is web based, you have access to your enterprise anywhere, and it's in your pocket. And also, I want to mention, so like one of the streams we'll be working on the companion app. I already started it when, I think about day 3 into developing this, but there's a mobile app, and it's the companion app, and we call it Boardroom. And the Boardroom is basically your conversations, like all your chats with your agents, and you can create new chats. I haven't really thought about new features just yet, and we don't need to worry about those too much. But I'm pretty sure there's some like more visibility you may want, status updates. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and push some of this code, and then I'm gonna see if this guy, if he has access, and we'll look at that live. So let me go ahead and do that. Oh yeah, I forgot we were looking through the code on the cursor in the cursor app. So let's see. It says okay, Versal. Once I normalize that route family to a single segment name, the production custom domain API started behaving normal again. The clearest proof is that these endpoints went from hanging to responding. Okay. So Cloudflare was, so we just learned Cloudflare was not the culprit. So I can go ahead and turn back on that proxy. Cloudflare was a diagnostic complication, not the decisive root cause. What Cloudflare did impact, it added another DNS routing layer, right, while we were debugging. So Cloudflare it was an issue when we were trying to debug why the application wouldn't take the user to log in. So it made it harder to quickly tell whether failures were domain routing. So right now I'll pull up what I'm looking at so you guys can follow along. Okay. I'm gonna show you guys. So right now we're just I'm reading through the changes that GPT 4, 5, GPT 5.4 is solid, guys. Don't let anyone else tell you other. Claude is good too, but if you are weary, like, oh, do I switch? Like, it doesn't matter. They're really good. They're both good. One thing I did notice with the OpenAI model is a little slow. It's slower, but it's almost as if it's like really thinking through each step, which is I kind of like actually. Sometimes Opus will like do a great job, but I'll run the there's like an agent checker or like a bug agent, and there'll be a bunch of bugs, and then I'll like run another update or feature with the GPT 5.4 model or the Codex model, and there's no bugs. So it really all depends. Like I think the important the important thing is not to be so freaking religious about like don't be like a glazer. Like allow yourself to look at things sensibly without emotion and logically, because it's an arms race, and the benefit is we get good models and they're all good. Now there's some trash out there, right? I don't really, I mean, if I'm gonna go for like a lower tier model, I'll just go like for a lower tier model from the companies that are kind of pioneering the space. Um, Eventually, we'll build a solid computer and we'll run some local models. So um, I haven't messed with like Mini Max or Kimi or Olamas. Those could be good for basic stuff, right? Um, but yeah, point is, don't be such a like a glazer. You know, use all the models, switch between them. All right, what am I doing? I'm sharing the screen, and I'm gonna share a window. Share that. All right, so I'm just pull this up so you guys can see. I don't know if I'm just leave it here because I don't know if I'm like exposing anything. I don't want to expose anything. So this is that builder tool, but I'm gonna just kind of read through. Oh, it's getting late over here. All right, so middleware is still important. It just needs to be used for the right layer. So I asked it about middleware. The best uses in the app are protecting page navigation before render. Da, 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 da. That is why keeping middleware focused on page traffic is a sound production move. So I had some questions about middleware because we noticed it made some middleware changes. Let me just put something up cool for you guys. So as I read through this, I think it'll be helpful. Once again, if you just stopped by our live, thanks for joining. This is a Designer Malcolm live series where we are vibe coding. I'm just vibe coding a couple softwares right now. The main tool we're focusing on is called Open Enterprise, and I'm going to put that up on the screen here. And it is we call it the operating system for agentic businesses. So if anyone is trying to start a company in 2026, 2027, it is important that you have some sort of open enterprise strategy, right? An agentic strategy. We are built on top of OpenClaw. So as that I don't know his name, the NVIDIA guy, he's like, every company needs a claw strategy. Well, look, we allow you to have more than a claw strategy. We allow you to be fully claw powered. So in the cloud, but we also take it a step further where OpenClaw is really focusing on giving a lot of it's focusing on giving agents tool access and skills. We're focused on adding on to that and giving agents this organizational structure where they're not just in silos, but they can organize and they can communicate and they can improve and drive your business to your desired KPIs. So pretty simple, man. We help you build. Open Enterprise is the platform to help you build an agentic business. Ultimately, it runs itself, right? And so right now, what we're kind of working through here is we are debugging some things, and we had an issue with the login. We had an issue with that, so we just fixed that. We finally broke through to get in side of the application, and so right now I'm working on giving our agents inside of Open Enterprise full access. So once we figure that out, then your agents, when you have an Open Enterprise account, will have access to all the tools. And one meta thing that I like to brag about is we are actually using Open Enterprise, our CEO inside of here, to manage Open Enterprise. So our CEO, he's agentic, and eventually he's going to take over Open Enterprise and run it, schedule stand-ups, run meetings, all on my behalf. And I can step away and kind of drive the goals. So right now we're working on giving him access to the native tool set inside of, I'm calling him like it's a person, but we're working on giving agents access to the native tool set. Now, if you're not familiar with our platform, it is fully agentic. There's no terminal. There's no CLI. You can integrate these agents with any tool possible, any tool imaginable, and we're slowly going to grow that. But also, you can have your agents work together. They can schedule meetings together. They can work on problems together. Provide you updates on what needs to be fixed and what needs to be worked. We're generous with our plans. You get a ton of tokens. You can also bring your own keys as well. So we highly recommend if you get one of our subscription plans, 50, 100, and $200 are the plan options. There's no free, there's no trial. It is what it is. Like we stand behind our product, and we believe that once you try it, you'll love it. And like throughout this series, you're going to just see us constantly improve on it, and we're building in public. You can follow first, like and subscribe and share this video with people you find valuable. But you can follow us on X. CEOs Klein Maxwell, Klein M_OE. We'll share that later, but we're all over social media. So right now, I'm seeing what the main problem was, and then I'm focusing on getting this CEO full access and his team full access to the tools. So that's where we're at. We do have a list of bugs. One goal is so eventually I'm gonna have our CEO build out what's called a pod, and pod is like it's a strategy for building products in corporate organizations, and it usually consists of like a product designer, an engineer, front end, back end, a full stack, or whatever. And so when I have him build out a pod and hire the right agents for that pod, it'll be cool because I can connect him to the GitHub repository. They can run bugs, they can do pull requests, and keep improving on the Open Enterprise application. Now, I'm definitely, because the nature of me, I'm a designer, so I will buy just because like that's what I do. I will remain in the design loop. I do not want full autonomy on the design because I think my design is very good. So, but with a lot of things around the business, such as bugs, bugs, and new features, as well as the marketing aspect of it and research, we're definitely going to have agents working on that. So I can wake up, I can get a report, I can see what our objective is, and let me show you what our objective is before I hop back into this. So I've defined our mission. So our mission statement is get 1 billion entrepreneurs using Open Enterprise. So that's what we're striving for. We want 1 billion entrepreneurs using Open Enterprise. And, I want to put a dent. I want to achieve that before I pass, but we have that. And then one of the main directives that I gave him is, so the way Open Enterprise is structured, it's really built around how organizations work today and some of the systems that they have in place. So like one of the systems you have in an organization is what's called a roadmap. So on our roadmap is we have a path to 50K MRR. That's our Q1. So Q1's almost over, but I'm going to make this the goal for year one. By the end of this year, and you're going to see it live, we're going to try and get Open Enterprise to 50K MRR. Like that is our goal. We're going to get This tool fits 50K MRR, and I know we can hit it. It's showing up every day. I'm doing these live streams. I want to share with you guys what we're building. So anyway, we have this roadmap, and he's got to finish this out, because if we click on roadmap, you'll see it's not a good roadmap, but he didn't have write access. So he's going to need to build this out. We're going to need more detailed phases on how do we get here. And then from these phases, you can add to-dos and milestones. And so those milestones get broken up into actual into action items. This is how you should run your business, right? You should have a mission, a directive. You should have that mission, and you should have your goals broken down into roadmaps and milestones. You should have meetings with your team. You should have stand-ups. You should have regular cadences that are built around your organization, that are driving the business forward. And so that is our belief in open enterprise, that no matter what industry you're in, you can build it agentically, and we want to empower you to feel that. So anyway, like I said, we're currently working on improving tool access with our CEO. So this is right here, this is a performance thing. So we'll address that. It should load here shortly, but we want good performance. So I'm currently reading through the notes, the documentation of the changes that have been made. So impact of the change. So I really want to know the impact of the change. So the impact of all the changes he made were good impact. Production auth APIs are now responsive again. Mission control redirects correctly instead of getting stuck. That's what we wanted. GitHub and Discord provider discovery is working again. The Magic Link endpoint responses immediately instead of hanging up. Cool. I gotta get I have a stand-up desk. I get that set up so I can stand. We're gonna be fully set up, man. All right, stability. So we have some stability improvements here. So package JSON and versal.json and the build pipeline changes are deployment hardening. Cool. Yarn installs consistency, pin node runtime, webpack, production build, narrow workspace resolution. Awesome. Instrument.ts. And like when you're building, I like to say just press the go button, but kind of read through what's been being built. And as we shift to a more agentic interaction where the agent is kind of working on things and you don't really see it. Like the nice thing with Cursor is I see what's being built and what's being worked on. But the everyday person is just going to want to see what's working. So, you'll have that flexibility to have your dev guy, if you're building software inside of Open Enterprise, to have your dev guy provide you a report on what's been built. So that's baked in there. So security impact. I had it run a security audit as well. It says, I do not see the routing fix itself as creating new security exposures. The route name under agents is not code blow. It was structural cleanup to satisfy how Next and Versal resolves dynamic API routes. The lightweight auth endpoints are also not necessarily blow. They replace heavier behavior with narrow or more explicit handlers. Cool. So security guardrail assessment. So I had a security guardrail assessment. So what's good? Protected page, API endpoints are good. All provider discovery is good. What I would call out as the main trade-off. Software right now, unless. Okay. So I'm using Sentry to help with it's my runtime instrument. Okay, this is not direct security issue. Okay, I just know how to know. They do expose operational metadata. So I have a couple APIs that expose operational metadata that I want to clean up. Okay. Current health check. Right now, the app looks materially healthier than it did before. Beautiful. Remaining caveats. I verified layer and redirect behavior from production endpoints. Then full interactive browser end-to-end pass. Okay. So it's just asking me to do a browser and then test, and it did work. All right. So the biggest issue that we were facing with that problem that we started 2 hours ago was we had a bad app router API path structure. It wasn't Cloudflare. If you want, the next best move is a real browser validation path so I can confirm. Yeah. Okay, so we're in a good spot. We're in a very good spot. Very good spot. So I'm going to run an agent review. And let me share with you my screen. Damn, how do I wish I can share more than one screen. So we kind of pause on the Builder app just because we made some good progress here with Open Enterprise. Oh, and if you want access to Open Enterprise, go ahead and there's a link in the description to join the waitlist. So we are open for waitlist. If you want to get access to this tool, feel free to go ahead and sign up. And I think we have about 500 seats available. And when we launch the app, it'll be available for those people first, and then it'll it'll roll over. So who else? And we'll do something special for you guys who join the wait list. I don't know. I'm not gonna say what it is just yet, but it'll be like a good little discount for you to try out the application. So, and that'll only be to those who are on the wait list. So just be on the lookout for that. And let's see here. So I'm currently running an agent review. So right now you guys are just looking at Open Enterprise, and I'll just kind of keep that up here while I'm working my cursor ID. So these are the agents. These are the current agents we have for Open Enterprise. So we have our CEO, and actually I can take you to this. So if you want to see all your agents that you have, you just go to team/HR, and this is really cool. So right off the bat, we give you hiring tips. Hiring tips. Really, these are just best practices for spawning new agents, and you can spawn infinite agents. And the beautiful thing is like there's no lag degradation. There's no performance issues. Like if you were to do a lot of this on your local computer, if you don't have a really strong, powerful computer, you will max out. But if you want to go crazy, you can have infinite agents. Like we don't cap that. It's up to you. So we give you best practices here. But if you want to look at your agents, you come here. I'm not going to go through this. You can collapse this. And your CEO, every single Open Enterprise account always has a CEO. You can't get rid of your CEO. I think you can fire him. No, you can't fire your CEO. You can change his name, and you can give him more skills. So I gave him financial analyst because I think finances are key. You can, each CEO. So when your CEO is, and these are all like little touches, like these, will they have a significant impact on whether or not, people buy the app or not? No, but it will make the user experience better, and we were able to improve the user experience without much um, code change or without like much scope creep. But you can change his voice. So we're connected into 11 Labs, and why this is good is because if you don't want to read the text messages or the channel threads, and you're maybe on the go, or you're in at the gym, you want to get an update on what your agent completed that day, we give them voices, and you can change the voice here. You just go into edit agent and you can give it whatever voice you want. So yeah. So yeah, you can never get rid of your CEO. And then I think so this might be something to look into. I thought you can change the model. Yeah, you can change the model here. Okay, cool. That's cool. I forgot we added it. So this is the company default, which is so every plan you have, you can pretty much select any model, but similar to Cursor. So we took elements from a lot of tools we use. You have the ability to do a max, pro, and standard. And basically, those are just presets for LLM selection. So the pro obviously uses like the best frontier model. So you're going to burn through your tokens more. But you may want that pro to be used on specific agents. And then max and standard are like lower models, right? Not necessarily the frontiers of GPT 5.4s, but they are like lower models, and which is good for like research or grunt work, right? But you can come in and you can assign, or you could tell your CEO to do it too. But if you want to just kind of be more custom, you can assign specific models, and we have over 308, a bunch. Oh, I guess not here. I guess we only give you the main ones. Um, but you can assign a language model. So anyway, you can fire and delete your team agents. So these are typically what'll happen is when you onboard, you'll get your CEO and he'll hire 3 roles he needs immediately. So he did a head of growth, head of product, head of customer success, which is like essential. You need a head of product, right? They're going to drive product decisions, and you need a head of growth and a head of customer. So these are cool, and you can hire more. Give each one of these skills. Like, let's see what skills he's got. So he's got the financial analyst skill. So I must have given them all the same skill, and that's something that we want to fix because he doesn't need that skill. So having specific skills, being able to edit skills is something we want to tighten up. But anyway, either way, they can analyze finances, and I think it's good. They all kind of can. So what are we doing? Okay, so we made good groundwork today. Kind of talked about a little bit more what we're working on, and I'm glad you guys were able to stop by and join the stream. For those who made it, this is a great journey, and let's see if we can pull up some stuff before I head out. So we are growing this. We're going to grow this business, and I'm going to, build in public. I think building in public is kind of lame and overrated, but it's mainly to open up dialogue into the discovery and into the development of agentic organizations. And so that is kind of what we're really striving for here, is building agentic organizations, and then giving access to that to entrepreneurs, business owners. And so let's see if I can. Let's see. So we are at Let me make sure I don't do nothing crazy. And maybe on these titles, I'll start putting the MRR. And look, I'm not in this. I'm not building a cell. I want to build like infrastructure, right? I literally see us being like the Shopify equivalent, where people who want to start businesses, like Shopify calls themselves the entrepreneur company, right? We're gonna take that title. And I got some cool concepts that we're gonna have. So let me just tease this. But if you're familiar with our logo, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with our logo. Um, but we'll just do real quick. So we are at, look, what's cool is you guys are with me on the come up. It's day one, right? Since day 8. All right. So I'm gonna start sharing this occasionally just to let you guys know where we're at. We're at 50 MRR, baby. $50 MRR. Let's go. $50 MRR. So we need to add what? 3 more zeros to the end of that to hit that goal of 50K MRR, baby. And honestly, why do we do it? Well, we do it because one, we want a better life for ourselves, right? But the other thing is we truly believe in the work we're doing. And the work we're doing is we're empowering entrepreneurs with this software, with this tool. So we're at 50 MRR, baby. We need to get 3 more zeros. You guys are with me since day one. And you know, if you want to use Open Enterprise, link in the description, jump on that wait list. Follow me on X, and I think that's it. It's a great live stream. We show up, we perform. I'm only on day 8, but hey, who cares? You know, I'm not going to commit to this, to doing one every single day, but I will commit to doing this stream until, you know, until we see Open Enterprise be successful. I'm having fun doing these. So at least what I would say is this: we will at least, at a minimum, at a bare minimum, we will be doing this for 200 days straight, or not straight, but we will commit to 200 episodes. That's crazy, right? 200 episodes of this. So you guys can look back on day 8 and be like, hey man, where you at? So we can hit 200 episodes, but the goal is to really bring awareness to agentic organizations and bring awareness to Open Enterprise, and to show you guys how to build agentically. And so with that being said, I'm signing out. I'm Designer Malcolm. Be on the lookout for some value. I dropped a really cool video about agentic design. So if you want to learn how to design better using Claude Code or OpenClaw, check that video out. Make sure to like and subscribe. Support your boy. You know, doing this because I love it, and I hope to see you guys on the next live stream. So, peace.